Today's lesson is called How Dua Lipa Made It Big. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today we're going to continue talking about one of the newest song sensations in the world, Dua Lipa. Maybe you've heard of her. She actually was born in London, but her parents are from Kosovo. And she lived in London for a while, then she moved back to Kosovo, and then back to London again to pursue her dreams. She worked part-time as a waitress and went to a performing arts school during the day. Eventually, she obtained a record contract, a record deal. She wasn't really successful at first, but later on, she released a bunch of songs, including her sixth hit, which was called New Rules, and it had a memorable chorus with some great artistic choreography. Maybe you've seen it online.
Look it up on YouTube. You won't regret it. It's a great video and a catchy song as well. New Rules came out in 2017. But you know what? Even though this song is about 3 years old, it still sounds super fresh to me every time that I listen to it. Anyways, today we're talking about Dua Lipa once again. So I say, why wait? Let's go ahead and dive in and get started. We'll be right back after this.
Following her self-titled album's debut in 2017, Dua Lipa emerged as the most streamed female artist on Spotify, and she won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. While people loved Lipa's music, some criticized her lack of stage presence on her first tour. Although this was hard to hear, it motivated Lipa to polish her performances. When she came back with her next single, Don't Start Now, she wowed fans with her fresh dance moves and confidence at the MTV Europe Music Awards.
大家好，第一部分我们看到单字 emerge， 这个字是动词，指显露、显现、出现、暴露，像是 emerge as 加名词表示以点点点为人知晓。例如 The country emerged as a major manufacturer of computer parts. 该国跻身为电脑零件的重要制造国。或是 The driver emerged from the crash without any major injuries. 该名驾驶从撞车现场中现身，没受到什么严重的伤。
Okay, let's dive in and get started here. Let's talk about today's lesson. Again, we are talking about Dua Lipa and her fantastic career as a pop singer. Following her self-titled album's debut in 2017, Dua Lipa emerged as the most streamed female artist on Spotify, and she won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. So, yes, indeed, lots of rock groups or singers release albums, and of course, the album has to have a title. In this particular case, the album was simply self-titled. It was just called Dua Lipa, and nothing else was added to that title. That's the self-titled album. And, of course, it had its debut. That means when it first came out. So after that album came out in 2017, she emerged as the most streamed female artist on Spotify. So here we've got the verb to emerge, which means basically you go from a lower hidden place and you rise up. You rise higher, and then you can be seen. So she emerged, she came out as the most streamed female artist on Spotify, maybe even beating Adele or Taylor Swift or even Mariah Carey.
Okay, so before, she wasn't that famous. Then overnight, let's say, she became a behemoth in the music industry. She became the most streamed female artist on Spotify, and now she reigns supreme in the pop world. Now, not only did she get that distinction as being the most streamed female artist on Spotify, she actually got some formal recognition as well. Get this, it says she won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. Now, if you are in the music business, I don't believe there's a higher honor than getting a Grammy.
That's right. That's what you strive for as music performer. So, yes, indeed, she got a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. And while people loved Lipa's music, some criticized her lack of stage presence on her first tour. That does happen sometimes. Of course, you want to sell tickets to your concerts and get people to come, but you can't just stand there and sing, okay? You got to do something. You got to give something people to look at, something to film with their phones. And if you're just standing there singing, it's kind of boring. So, again, she kind of received criticism for that on her first tour. I guess she didn't have enough dancers up there or didn't have a spectacular light show and stuff like that. So, yes, indeed, she was kind of criticized for that.
I could see how this is true. She does have kind of a chill personality, and that might go over well in a music video or with just the music itself. But on stage, you can't just be chilled and relaxed all the time. You have to emit life and vitality. You have to feel alive to everyone out there. So people are saying here that she had a bit of a stage presence problem. She lacked stage presence. People didn't feel her on the stage when she was singing there. And although this was hard for her to hear, it motivated Lipa to polish her performances. So she wanted to have stage presence. She wanted to sell out arenas the world over, okay? So at first, she didn't like hearing this. What are you talking about? I lack stage presence. I'm Dua Lipa. At first, she didn't want to hear this, but instead of giving up, she said, you know what? I'm going to work harder. Now I'm motivated. I've got a good reason to do something. Yes, if you are motivated, you've got a good reason to do something. And here it says that Lipa was motivated to polish her performances. So before, maybe they were a little bit rough, and now she's going to tighten them up.
Yep, she probably cried a lot, and she thought, well, that's motivation. I'm going to use that as an excuse to actually improve and get better and polish my performance. Of course, you can polish your car to make it nice and shiny. It's not the same thing as cleaning it. You wash your car first, and then you put some polish on the car to make it really, really shiny. So, yeah, she wanted to put the finishing touches on her performances, and she wanted to dazzle those audiences. And when she came back with her next single, with her next hit song, Don't Start Now, she wowed fans with her fresh dance moves and confidence at the MTV Europe Music Awards. So, yeah, she was motivated there. She polished her performances and she wowed her audiences. Here we've got the word wow being used as a verb. It's usually an exclamation here. Oh, wow, you did a really great job on that marketing plan there, Steve. Good job. You're going to get a promotion. But here, wow is being used as a verb, as I said, which means basically you really impressed them.
There you go. She had fresh dance moves and a ton of confidence. By the way, if you are confident, that means you feel like you're going to succeed. You don't doubt yourself. You're filled with self-esteem. You know you're a good person and that good things are going to happen to you. Yeah, confident would be the adjective. Confidence would be the noun here.
Yep, she had confidence, a strong belief in herself. She had some great self-esteem, and therefore she was able to impress people at the MTV Europe Music Awards. MTV is still around. They have music awards in the US and in Europe as well. And because she's from Kosovo and because she got to be famous in London, therefore she took part in the music awards that took place in Europe. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson. Let's now move on to the second part and listen more about the life and times of Dua Lipa.
While some criticism has helped Lipa improve, rude comments still get to her. That's why she created her second album, Future Nostalgia, as a fun escape from the pressures of the outside world. The album's release didn't go as planned, though. It was leaked online before the official release, and performances to support it were cancelled due to COVID-19. Despite all this, it's been a hit, and Lipa has even been crowned the Quarantine Queen by fans who say her album has brightened their days in lockdown.
第二部分我们看到一个名词 criticism 指批评、指责、评论，像是 Judy is not good at accepting criticisms of her work. Judy 不善于接受别人对她工作的批评。 另外，补充这个字的动词 criticize, C-R-I-T-I-C-I-Z-E, criticize, 指批判、批评。举例来说 Mr. Coulter criticized the bad work that Kyle did on the project. Coulter 先生批评 Kyle 这个专题做得很糟。再补充一个相关片语 criticize somebody or something for 加名词或动词 ing 表示为某事而批评、指责点点点。我们可以说Ellen criticized her friend for being so lazy and not getting any exercise. Ellen 批评朋友十分懒惰，又不做任何运动。再来，我们看到片语 get to somebody 表示让某人感到难过。例如 Doug's constant chatter is starting to get to Bill. Doug 的喋喋不休开始让 Bill 觉得很烦。或是 Don't let the job get to you. 别让这份工作使你烦心。另外，以下补充几个包含 get to 的片语。第一，Get to grips with, G-R-I-P-S, get to grips with, 表示认真处理，应付难题。举例来说 On his first day working as a teacher, Ted struggled to get to grips with controlling his class. Ted 第一天当老師時，很難掌控班上學生。第二 ，get to one's feet, 表示站起來，像是 Connor quickly got to his feet after slipping on the wet floor. 在湿地板上滑倒後 Connor 很快地站起來了。第三 get to the bottom of 表示釐清點點點的真相，追根究底。我們可以說 The detective promised that he would get to the bottom of the case. 那位警探保證他會釐清那個案件的真相。接着我們看到一個名詞 quarantine 指隔離、檢疫，像是 You should stay home and have less contact with people as much as you can when you are under quarantine. 當你被隔離時，應該待在家裡，並且盡量不要接觸人。另外，這個字也可以當動詞。我們可以說 Vicky's dog was quarantined when she brought it back from America. Vicky 把養的狗從美國帶回來時，狗兒被隔離檢疫。最後，我們看到單字 brighten， 這個字是動詞，指使充滿活力，使愉悅，後面常接 up。例如 Your participation will surely brighten up the birthday party. 你的參與一定能讓生日派對更加充滿活力。另外，除了上面的意思，這個字還可以指明亮、增色，像是 The wallpaper can help brighten up the room. 這款壁紙可以讓房間看起來更明亮。
2017 was a pretty good year for Dua Lipa. She was the most streamed female artist on Spotify there. It was a great year, but there were criticisms. People said, you know what, she's a great singer and everything. We like her music, but her performances, they leave a lot to be desired. She has a lack of stage presence. And remember, this particular criticism, it was hard for her to hear, but instead of letting it get to her, she decided to motivate herself and to improve and to polish her performances. Now, does this mean, though, that she's immune to criticism now, that she'll always use that as a fuel for her fire? Not necessarily. Next, we learn that while some criticism has helped Lipa to improve, or helped her improve, rude comments still get to her. So sometimes she reads something that someone has written about her, or she hears something that someone has said about her, and it still gets to her, it still affects her, it still makes her feel bad. So Dua Lipa, she is human.
Indeed. So, of course, if she posts a video on YouTube or something like that, people are free to leave comments there. And if you've ever read comments before, some of them are rude. They're not very nice. They'll probably say, oh, why don't you go back to Kosovo? You don't belong in London. Your music is really terrible. So that would be a rude comment. And those comments would get to her. If she reads that, she's going to be very upset by that. She cannot ignore it. And that's why she created her second album, Future Nostalgia, as a fun escape from the pressures of the outside world. That's an interesting title there. Nostalgia is usually some kind of longing you have for the past. I grew up in Puli, for example, and I've lived in Taipei for 20 years. Sometimes I have nostalgia for Puli. I'd like to go back there and visit my old childhood home and stuff like that. But that usually is a feeling for the past. How could you have nostalgia for something that hasn't happened yet.
Maybe she's imagining a future where the present she has now is something that she's going to be missing. Yeah, she's living in the present right now, and in the future she'll look back and have these fond memories, these feelings of yearning and stuff like that. Who knows? It is an interesting title. Anyways, moving on, the next sentence says, the album's release didn't go as planned, though. So, she was making this album. It was fun, a fun escape from the pressures of the outside world. But was everything smooth sailing? Apparently not. The album's release didn't go as planned. There were bumps in the road.
Yeah, there were difficulties, of course. Sometimes you have a plan. Like many years ago, I had a plan to go down to Kending for 3 days. But, hey, my plans did not go like I thought. Things didn't go as planned because I went surfboarding on the first day and got too tired, so I decided to come back to Taipei early. So, yeah, my trip didn't go as planned. But here, I guess things kind of got out of hand. It was leaked online before the official release, and performances to support it were canceled due to COVID-19. So, yeah, it was leaked online. Somebody got a copy of this album and released it online before it was supposed to be released, and then they were going to have some performances, I guess live performances, to support the release. Well, they had to be canceled because of COVID-19, so that could cause some problems for an album's release.
Gosh, COVID-19, will we ever be free of it? Now, despite all this, it's been a hit, and Lipa has even been crowned the quarantine queen by fans who say her album has brightened their days in lockdown. So there you go. There were bumps in the road. It wasn't smooth sailing, but still, future nostalgia, hey, it has been a hit. How about that?
Yep, despite all this, despite here just means even though there were difficulties, despite this, we were still successful. In this particular case, the album was still a hit, even though they had problems with the release. And she's been crowned the quarantine queen by fans. Quarantine, of course, refers to people separating themselves from the rest of society so that they don't get sick. So, yeah, she went into lockdown like everybody else, but still was famous despite all those shutdowns. And they say her album has brightened their days in lockdown. Lockdown, again, is when everything's closed and you're supposed to stay home and stuff like that. We didn't really experience that so much here in Taiwan, but in other parts of the world, my goodness, they had cabin fever. They were stuck at home all the time. Lots of people were depressed. It was a pretty serious situation, but hey, they could turn on their computer and watch the videos of her performing. So she became the quarantine queen, and she brightened their days. She made them feel happy.
Yes, if something brightens your day, it makes you feel better. Before, you were in a bad mood. Now you feel a whole lot better. Light has been brought into your life, or you can say that your day has been brightened. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up our lesson on Dua Lipa.
It's hard to believe this is just the start of Dua Lipa's career. Considering all she's already accomplished, we can only imagine what the future holds.
Here's the final part of our lesson. It says, it's hard to believe this is just the start of Dua Lipa's career. Yes, it seems like she's been around for a long time, but hey, her career has just started. That's hard to believe. And considering all she's already accomplished, we can only imagine what the future holds. And here, accomplished is the past tense of the verb to accomplish, which means you successfully do something. You complete school, you release an album, you build a house. Those are your accomplishments.
Yeah, drinking a cup of coffee, that would not be considered an accomplishment. Yes, accomplishment would be the noun. Accomplish would be the verb. Yes, you reach a goal. You do something hard. Successfully, you accomplish that thing. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to say bye-bye, but don't worry, don't fret. The Chinese teacher is on her way.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。我们读到课文的最后一句，他说 Considering all she's already accomplished, We can only imagine what the future holds. 有鉴于它的成就，我们只能想象它未来的发展。好，句子里面的 hold 在这边是当及物动词用，去表达说发生怎么样，像是未来将要或是可能发生什么事情。那么 what the future holds 是用来描述和推测未来可能发生的情况，意思就是说未来会发生什么事。像我们可以照这个例句是 No one knows for sure what the future will hold. 没有人确切知道未来将会发生什么事。好，那么课文句子里面它还用到 considering， 我们来学习它的用法。considering 它表示考量到什么，就什么什么而论。那这个字它可以当介系词或是当连接词。当介系词的时候，后面就是要接名词或名词片语。例如 considering the damage to the car,It's a miracle that the man survived. 考量到那台车的损坏程度，哇，那名男子活下来还真是个奇迹啊。好，那么 considering 它当连接词的时候，后面就要接子句咯。例如 John did surprisingly well on the test, considering that he didn't study much for it. 考虑到 John 他考前没有念什么书，哇，他考得出奇的好诶。好，我们这边顺便补充一下 given 的用法 Given Given 当介系词也可以表达说考虑到什么，有鉴于什么，这时候它意思就跟 considering 差不多。我们常常用它来表示说条件啊或是原因，然后 given 后面常常会接名词或是 that 子句来表达考虑到某个状况的前提下，有鉴于某个状况。例如 Given the circumstances,I think they did quite well. 考虑到那样的情况下，我觉得他们表现得还蛮好的。好，另外 given 也可以当形容词或名词用。我们先来看 given 当形容词呢，它是指规定的、指定的或是已经安排好的，可以用来形容时间、地点等等的条件。像我们说 within a given amount of time 就是指说在规定的时间里， at a given location 则是指说在指定的地点，在约好的地点。那再来我们看到 given 如果是当名词的话，则是指说前提或是假定的事实、已知的事实，那常常用来表达说被视为理所当然的事、众所皆知的事。假设朋友跟你说啊，人生好难啊，这时候你可以回答说 Yeah, that's a given。当然啊，这是一定的。好啦，那么以上是今天的重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Emerge. Baby turtles emerge from the nest and make their way to the sea. Motivate. A good teacher should be able to motivate the students to do well. Polish. His essay could be improved if he spent some time polishing it. Confidence. Brooke is a talented musician, but she lacks the confidence to perform on stage. Criticism. The Prime Minister received a lot of criticism for the way he handled the crisis. Comment. Elise was upset when she read the comments on her social media post. Accomplish. With hard work, it is possible to accomplish great things.
Discussion Starter starts now!
And now it's time for our discussion starter. Roger, have you ever listened to Dua Lipa's music before? What do you think of her music?
Well, I haven't, but I want to because of our lesson, because of all the things our article said about her, and of course because she's from Kosovo, or at least her parents are from Kosovo. I think she might have kind of a unique approach to her music. Maybe she uses some Kosovar musical influences or something like that. It's probably very interesting to listen to.
Now, I am a fan of her music, since I prefer modern pop music to older forms of pop music. I think that this decade has been fantastic for good pop music, and Dua Lipa, she's able to craft a really simple yet compelling pop song. So for that reason, I am a fan of hers. Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.